Let's come back to the Ukrainian recovery conference coverage that you were talking about. So we had just seen the video with the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office representative talking about the fact that the efforts to merge government, civil society, private sector together in order to effectively re-engineer Ukraine, what Ukraine is. But that brings us on to the conference itself that we were discussing on last Wednesday's program.
Yeah, you describe it well, Mike. This is private governance, Bilderberg-style governance in a sense, at its finest, where everything comes together and coalesces into a new collective whole. And yes, the Ukraine Recovery Conference, we're showing the slide here, happened 21 and 22 of June, just wound up in UK, in London. The Chatham House was right before that on the 20th, as we mentioned. And this next slide is just a look at a recent conference and kind of how part of the gathering looks kind of like an IMF World Bank gathering, which I covered once in 2011. But moving on from there, we have a little bit more about what it's about. Some of this is rather rudimentary. Unity, demonstrating the continued strength and breadth of the international support for Ukraine. Diversity, more globalist buzzwords. Bringing together a diverse range of actors to work together on Ukraine's recovery, making impactful coalitions of international partners. That kind of goes into what you were saying, making impactful coalitions of international partners, this collectiveness. Private sector and civil society working together with the government of Ukraine. This is the new governance. Delivery, display how support and expertise from the international community, private sector and civil society can help Ukraine, here we go, build back better, greener, and as a more resilient, prosperous European nation, balancing what can be done now and what needs to be done in the longer term. Everything's being primed, of course, for full EU membership. Now, the first day, there's much more that could be said in the weeks ahead as I continue reporting on this. There's a lot to flesh out, but the first day, the plenary session, it set the scene for the conference. It set out the role of the private sector to mobilize investment at the scale needed to support Ukraine to build back better. It'll focus on the role of governments and international financial institutions as the enablers of investment and promote the Ukraine Recovery Conference as the vehicle for Ukraine to secure support for its immediate recovery needs. Prime Minister Sunak and President Zelensky of Ukraine opened the event by welcoming governments, international financiers, businesses, and civil society to London. After nearly 18 months of Ukraine living under a full-scale Russian bombardment, the Ukraine Recovery Conference is a key moment for the global community to come together to show the strength of support and unity for Ukraine's recovery effort. And again, this heightened sense of this new kind of governance. Now, this next slide, just kind of whizzing through this, it just indicates that Dmytro Kuleba, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, was in fact at Bilderberg this past May in Lisbon, Portugal. And so that's just something to keep in mind. It's a good backdrop item because it helps you understand the motivation and the power going on here. And going on from there, this is just a quick picture of Mr. Kuleba. He's shown to the right there. To the left is, of course, James Cleverly, the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Affairs for the UK. Cleverly introduced Rishi Sunak. Mr. Kuleba didn't seem to speak. He kind of just hung around and decided to look pretty, I guess, in his mind. But now we have some more comments of the Prime Minister, which I think will kind of supplement what you recently also showed on UK Column.
Now, before this terrible war, Ukraine's economy was becoming a huge investment opportunity. A top 5 exporter of iron ore and steel, a leader in energy, pushing forward renewables, hydrogen and electric vehicles, and a startup nation, which helped spark names like PayPal, WhatsApp and Revolut, with a thriving tech sector which actually had a record year in 2022. In fact, the war has only proved how much Ukraine has to offer. They were networking mobile phones so that people across Ukraine could download an app, which would allow their phone to pick up the sound of the Shahed drones and feed back the location so that Ukrainian air defense could track them and shoot them down. During the winter, Russia tried to destroy Ukraine's energy grid. By February, over 40% of power generation was down. But now, because of that incredible ingenuity and defiance, Ukraine has got the grid back online, and they're even able to start exporting electricity back to Europe. As we've seen in Bakhmut and Mariupol, what Russia cannot take, it will seek to destroy. They want to do the same to Ukraine's economy.
Right, Mark. I just want to get a very, very quick comment on that, because Vanessa had her head in her hands while that was playing. So Vanessa, very briefly, give us some thoughts.
God, I've come over all hot. I mean, honestly, really, this reminds me of, do you remember HALA systems? The systems that the White Helmets generated in Idlib that will spot every single Russian warplane and bomb and missile and so on and so forth. And then this idea of Russia takes what it wants and destroys the rest. Come to Syria, Rishi. You're welcome. Come and see what you've taken and then destroyed when you couldn't keep it. I mean, enough already, really enough.
Yes. Okay. That's a fair comment, Mark.
It is. What he said about the phone app and the drones is just literally not to be believed. There is no basis to believe that at all. And the comments about the strength of Ukraine's economy might have some truth to them, but that would take a lot of verification. It certainly sounds a lot rosier than the realities of Ukraine's economy, in my estimation. But to be fair, I'd like to look some of those stats up. But the drone comment is, I don't even know what to say. It defies counter comment.
Yes. Okay, thank you.